Good day, everybody. They say if there is a human experience, then it is highly likely that someone, somewhere, somehow has written a story about it. With that in mind, I welcome you to my web series, A House Full of Stories. I will be coming online once a week on Sundays, and I will be telling a story to you because I have had the good fortune of growing up in a house filled with stories of every variety, every description. I have had friends since I was in kindergarten, thanks to these stories. Today, tell the story An Astrologer's Day, which is written by an Indian author called Narayan and forms part of his story collection Malgudi Days. An Astrologer's Day is an interesting story. It is about an astrologer. But is he an astrologer? Let's find out. It's midday in the town of Malgudi, and promptly at midday, a man walks in and sits down, unrolls a mat, puts a few shells on it, and other paraphernalia. He is wearing a saffron robe, a saffron turban. He has his head smeared like this with the sacred ash and a small vermilion, what we call tika, which in English would come out to be, I suppose, mark. This vagabond, this frightening tramp, this unusual person, he is experienced in the art of prediction, or so it seems. Because if we scratch the surface, we will be told a different story. Next to him is a groundnut seller who calls his ware Bombay ice cream one day, Delhi almond the next. And because the astrologer's own establishment does not have any lighting of its own, he is dependent on this groundnut seller to provide light, which the groundnut seller does. It is a naked gaslight. And so our astrologer greets clients, they come to him, and he lets them speak. At first, he does not say a single thing, he simply lets them speak. And after listening to them for 10 minutes, he is given the ammunition necessary to tell them the things that they will believe. He tells one, there is a relative in your family who is indisposed towards you. Is this not right? He tells another that perhaps you are not aware, but you exude an aura of forbidding, and that is why people are afraid to approach you. And the customers that he has, they trust him. They give him his money. He charges 3 paisa per question. They give him that money and they go away happy. Now, although he has no experience with the stars and the suns, he's far away from his village. And this is where Narayan writes beautifully that for a villager to leave his village and come to even the small town of Malgudi, the small fictional town of Malgudi, it is a big thing. It is like he has crossed an ocean, and that ocean is in between him and his home, the village in which he grew up, and will remain so forever, unless by some lucky chance he manages to find his way back home. But that is not the case with our astrologer. And now comes the stranger. The stranger is a man who was walking through the market and stops for a moment in front of the astrologer. It is late at night. The astrologer has started to gather up his paraphernalia, his shells, his palmyra leaves, and he is packing them. And just at this moment, in comes the stranger. And the astrologer senses that perhaps this is a client. And so he says to the stranger, "Why don't you sit down?" And the stranger thrusts his palm into the astrologer's face and says, "You call yourself an astrologer? Read my palm." And this astrologer is a bit taken aback by the violence in the man's voice. So he says, "I am leaving, I will talk to you tomorrow." And the stranger says, "No, I was passing by, you stopped me. So now you have to play by my rules." And he tosses a rupee onto the uh, astrologer's rug, so to speak. And he sits down and lights a cheap cigarette, what we used to call a cheroot. So he lights this cigarette and he sits down and he says, "Just tell me what I want to know, and I will pay you another rupee." The astrologer says, "If I am right, you must pay me 5 rupees." The stranger refuses. He says, "A rupee is the maximum you will get out of me." And after some haggling, they agree. However, the counter condition is that if the astrologer's words are false, if the stranger feels that he is not telling the truth, then the astrologer must pay the stranger 5 rupees. So they begin. The astrologer tries the normal tactics at first. He talks to the stranger about women, tries to say the stuff about the relatives, but at each turn he is poo pooed. The stranger is just not interested. The stranger says, "All I want from you is the information that will I be successful in my present hunt?" Ominous, you would say. Very ominous. And so the astrologer takes the gloves off and he says, "You were left for dead, were you not?" And suddenly, this somewhat cheerful story takes on a very dark turn because the stranger's eyes they light up and they are like, and he's like, "You have got it. Indeed, you are right." And then the astrologer says, "Somebody stabbed you with a knife." And the stranger unbuttons his kurta and shows the scar and says, "This is where the scoundrel stabbed me." And the astrologer then tells the third point. The third point is that this stranger sitting before the astrologer was stabbed, and after being stabbed, he was kicked into a well by some person or persons unknown. And the stranger says, "Why, you are reading my mind, and I would have been dead today had it not been for a passerby who looked into the well and who saw me and who helped me out and nursed me back to health. And today I live only to seek my vengeance on the man who pushed me into the well in the first place. Tell me, where can I find him?" And the astrologer says, "Your quest is failed. The man died 4 months ago." And the stranger is taken aback. He's like, "I don't understand. Are you telling me that I am free? That the person who tried to do this to me no longer lives, which means that I can now go back to my village?" To which the astrologer says, "The man was crushed under a lorry 4 months ago. You can easily go back to your village with a clean conscience. He will not trouble you anymore. Go back tomorrow. There is a train station just next to the village. Go to the train station, board the train, and leave. Guru Nanak." And the stranger is electrified. "How do you know my name?" he asks. And the astrologer says, "I know many things, Guru Nanak. I also know that if you take my advice, you will live to be 100. And so Guru Nanak gets up and he throws a fistful of coins at the astrologer, dust, as if he's scattering lagres to the multitude. And he walks off. It is late at night. It is almost midnight. The astrologer hurriedly packs his paraphernalia, rolls up his rug, and he walks home. Once at home, his wife is standing on the threshold. She is waiting for an explanation as to why he is so late. And he takes out the coin purse and he throws it at the wife and says, "Please count this. One man gave me all of this." And his wife, she starts counting and she says, "There is approximately 40 paisa here. With this 40 paisa, I can buy some coconut, I can buy some sugar, I can buy some treacle, and I can make the child some sweets." And the astrologer exclaims, "The swine! He has cheated me. He has promised me to pay at least a rupee, and now he has cheated me." The wife says nothing. She serves the dinner, they eat, and then they go out onto the front porch. Now, in those days, what used to happen is the huts used to be made of mud, or perhaps in Narayan's time, they were made with cement. This is something you can tell me later if you are so interested in exploring the trivia of this thing. So, there used to be a little extension to the hut outside the main door, which Narayan terms to be the pyol. It's an Indian word. It basically means porch, which reminds me that I already mentioned that they are sitting on the porch. So on the porch, the astrologer tells his wife, "Dear, I thought I had the blood of a man on my hands for so long. He is alive. A great weight has lifted from my shoulders today." And the wife is shocked. She's like, "You tried to kill." And the man said, "I was foolish and young. We were drinking. I had lost one too many hands at cards. And so I pushed him and I stabbed him. And then I left him for dead. But he is alive. He has survived. I can now be at peace." Come now. Why are we discussing this affair of the past so vividly? Let us move ahead from this. Let us be at peace. So saying, the man wraps himself up in a blanket and lies down and goes to sleep. So that was An Astrologer's Day, written by R.K. Narayan, one of the famous Indian authors. I thought it would be a good story to start these sessions off with. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if I could have done better. I will be announcing the next story sometime around about Saturday evening. I hope this was an enjoyable experience for you. Until next time, my dear viewers and readers, I remain yours sincerely, the Village Master. Please take care of yourselves.